Well, then I gotta go in and tag them all.
Well, that's what it is.
Oh, probably right.
What do I wanna do today? Yeah, that's the question.
He just gave us that one. Or is it not a call for homework, you guys? Yeah. Are you trying to see what it is in programs?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have a column, a category for concrete. Instead of that, it should come as a. Unit, so.
I'm sorry, I do what I do. Well, so we're supposed to turn stuff on. That's you, so. Amazing. Oh, I should.
There should be a label on it. So like, if you want them all on the left or right, so like, click on it. Click on it, look, click on that, click on the line, take that check mark. Next to it. And let's click outside of it, see what it does.
Would you do your application?
That's not nice, try to. Alright, so it's.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so yesterday I talked to you all about walls. I want to continue that discussion about walls. So let's say, for instance, I have a wall. Now, right now I have generic walls in here. Okay. But I would like for my wall to have, let's see, I want masonry as the core. That is the structure. On the outside, I would like a vapor barrier, air layer, or vapor barrier, thermal protection. So, and then, which would be rigid insulation. And then I want an air layer and I want brick on the outside. On the inside, I want metal framing or wood framing, up to us. Let's say 2x6 framing, and then drywall. Does that make sense? Let's say 7/8 inch drywall. Okay, how do I create a wall type that has all of that? So I'll select a wall, and I'm going to call this, let's say, wall type W1. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on, notice I've selected the wall, I've drawn the wall. So my advice to all of you is to go ahead and draw the wall. Right? Question? No, this is just a in-class practice. So this is the practice file that I was using yesterday. So if I want to edit this wall type, so in fact, let's see if we could pull up a wall type in the project, and I'll show you how to do that one. And that way you get an idea. So here we have a wall that is however tall it is. It's got brick, it's got a lintel, it's got ephes. It's looks like it has a vapor barrier. It has rigid insulation, and then a 12-inch nominal CMU block. And so that's what's in that wall. So let's see if we can build that wall. So I'm going to go back to my Revit, edit type. Again, I'll leave it as edit type and then duplicate. This is important because you don't want to mess with the walls that are already in there. Create your own wall type. So create duplicate, and then I'm going to call this wall type W1 or W1 space wall type. Now, if you put some strange symbols in there, it might say, hey, I can't use those symbols. So, maybe a dash would work. Let's see if that works. Yep, that works. And then we'll say, first we'll say, okay. Now I'm going to go back, edit type, edit the structure of the wall, and then I'm going to say preview. Now in the preview, this is what it's showing in floor plan view. So if I look at it, this wall from the top, this is what I see. All it says is it's an 8-inch wall. It doesn't even say what material it is, right? So I'm going to change this to elevation view or section view rather. So now notice I have structure, and then I can change this to CMU, right? Search for CMU, CMU split face or concrete masonry units. Say okay. And then we want it to be 12 inches. So it's a foot wide. And then I'm going to insert a layer. And notice over here, the exterior side and the interior side. Now, yesterday I talked to you a little bit about how BIM is, you're designing with objects, not necessarily lines. So notice a few things over here. First of all, it says total thickness is 1 inch. Resistance R is 1.33. Now, what's R value?
Insulation.
So essentially, R value, the higher the R value, the lower temperature the heating. So when you have something that is hot and cold, right? They both want to come together to form an even temperature. Okay, so the basic principles of heat and cold is that cold air wants to go up and hot air wants to go down, right? So what we want to do is, well, it doesn't matter. The point is there's an R value that's being calculated. Also, it's telling you what is the thermal mass of this. Okay, so I'm going to insert a new layer to the top side. I'm going to move it up. Now, this one is going to be a substrate layer or a membrane layer. Actually, let's make it a membrane layer. Now, what's the thickness of a membrane? Has anybody seen that Tyvek paper being pasted onto the walls? It says Tyvek or some kind of first of all, what is a vapor barrier? It's basically a sheet of plastic that we stick onto the wall. So when water falls on it, it will drip down instead of seeping inside. Does that make sense? So we're going to make it, and what is the thickness of that? What's the thickness of a sheet of plastic? Very minimal. So we're going to say that it is going to be membrane layer, and then I'm going to search for vapor barrier. Vapor retarder. Okay, that's good enough. And then we'll make the thickness 0 inches because it really doesn't have any thickness, right? So make it 0 thickness. Also, if you make it 1 inch or whatever, 1/16 of an inch or something like that, it will say, hey, membrane layer cannot have thickness, okay? One thing to remember when you're editing the wall type is there's no undo in this view, okay? If you mess up, you have to come back and restart, okay? Let's insert another layer. This one's going to be thermal insulation. And then let's search for rigid insulation. Now, it didn't say what's the thickness of it. All it said was I need an R value out of it, which is, so I'm going to make the rigid insulation. Let's see what happens if we add 3 inches. Okay, so the R value went up to 13, which is more than 5, so that's good enough. So let's make it 3 inches. And then what else did it have on there? EIFS, but before the EIFS, there's probably an air layer. I'm going to make an air layer of 3 inches, right? Insert, and then I'm going to call it thermal air layer. And then there is a material called air. Should be, in fact, one of the first materials. So let's call that air. And then let's make it 3 inches. And then insert another layer. And this is going to be our finish layer on the outside. And then I'm going to call this, let's see if there's an EIFS, EIFS. There we go. We have EIFS. And then let's make the EIFS half inch. Right? So now all of a sudden we have a wall that looks very similar to what they have given us. Does that make sense? That's how you build a wall. Yep. So where it says edit structure in the properties of the wall, and then by default, if the preview would be closed, open the preview and change this so you see everything. What? Yeah. Click on edit type. And then duplicate the wall. First, select the wall, edit type, then duplicate the wall type to whatever you want to call it, and then edit the structure of the wall. Okay? Now, every wall, anything that you draw in Revit has some details in it. First of all, notice it doesn't show me the details here, so I can click on that detail level to fine, and now all of a sudden, looks like all the materials are visible. Also, I can change this to consistent colors, and now it's starting to look like concrete color, the masonry block, right? So you can control the visibility just using these two at the bottom, okay? Now, every wall must start somewhere, end somewhere. Does that make sense? Everything needs to start somewhere and end somewhere. Well, when I select this wall, it says, if I look at it, it says base constraint. Base constraint is, it says first floor, 01-first floor, which is start at the ground, which is what I want, right? So I want my wall to start at the bottom, that's fine. And now it has a base offset next to it. If I said -3, then what it will do is it will start 3 feet below grade. If I say leave it as 3 positive number, right? It will start 3 feet above grade. Okay, that makes sense. And then top constraint. Right now it says unconnected. Well, I want you to go up to the roof. Top offset. If I want the wall to go beyond the top, then I can say 2 feet or whatever number that I want, right? And then hit apply. So what did that do? Well, let's look at the 3D view, and you'll notice that particular wall is starting 3 feet below. Let's go ahead and change this to consistent colors and fine. So this wall, if I look at it from the right side, you will notice that wall is starting 3 feet below grade because I said the offset is 3 feet. And then at the top, it is 2 feet above grade. That makes sense? However, what I want is, if you look in the drawing, the EIFS doesn't go below grade. Just the block goes below grade. Everybody see that? The EIFS and the thermal insulation, everything else stops right here, whereas the block goes all the way to the foundation. So how do I make that happen? well, let's go to this and change the offset back to 0 at the bottom, right? So now it's starting at 0. But I'm going to select this wall, edit type, and again, go back to the section view. Now edit the structure. Let's zoom into the bottom. Click on modify. When you hit modify and select the structure layer,
Can you go back just for a few more steps?
so I had my wall going 3 feet below. I don't want the entire wall to go 3 feet below. I just want the block to go 3 feet below. So in order to do that, I'm going to select this and say edit type. Right? Edit type. And then now if you don't see that preview, you should see something that looks like this. Let's go ahead and open that preview, make sure that it is on section view, and let's change the edit structure. Okay, now select that concrete, click on modify, and then scroll to the bottom. What is going on here?
How do you select the structure view? I mean, how do you change the color?
Over here, I just selected that layer.
Like so.
Okay, I see.
Okay. So when I zoomed in and I selected the bottom of the CMU, notice there's a little lock on there. You see the little lock? Unlock that and say okay. So how did I get to that point? Again, I zoomed in and I selected the bottom of that wall. When I select the bottom of the wall, it showed up, again, just the CMU layer now. It showed up with that lock. I unlocked it. Again, that will be available to you when you hit modify in the preview section. And then when you say okay and say okay again, you'll notice that when I select this wall, I have a base extension distance. I can make that -3 feet and apply. And now what you'll notice is only the CMU portion is going 3 feet below. The rest of the wall stays right there. Does that make sense? So let me undo that. Select the wall, edit type, again, edit the structure, right? Modify, zoom into this layer where you can select that wall, the bottom of that, and notice there's a lock. Again, if you make sure you're at the bottom and then select it. If you don't select it, you won't see it.
Thank you.
And then unlock it. And say okay. And now when I select this wall type, I could say base extension distance, not the base offset, but the base extension distance is -3. That makes sense? Yeah. So now the block goes 3 feet below, but the rest of it is at ground level. So that's how we create different types of walls. But the first thing to do is to try to draw the wall with a generic wall. Now, what if this generic wall, so this goes, let's say, first floor to second floor only, and then I want it to have glass. Well, change the wall type, scroll down here and say storefront. When you select storefront, and let's look at the 3D view, and you will notice that, again, we can change this to shaded colors. Notice that this has got now storefront. Well, my storefront doesn't look like this. I want to customize my storefront. Well, we'll do that. For now, let's go ahead and just call it storefront. And then we'll come back and edit that into, or you could just go with exterior glazing. And then leave it like that. So it's just glass for now. We'll worry about that later. As far as where do we have the mullions. So those bands that the metal bands that you see on the glass, those are called mullions. We'll place the mullions later. So what I've shown you today should allow us to basically finish walls. Now, there are a few things in the walls that we will not be able to do. For instance, there's a lintel right there. Well, how am I going to put a lintel in? First of all, what's a lintel? What's the point of a lintel? Anybody? So listen to this. If I'm going to have an opening in here, and whoever did this wrong, look at the crack. Look at the crack over there for the drywall. What did that guy do? He cut the drywall up here. You really need to cut it somewhere over here so that that crack doesn't appear. Yeah, well, that whole thing is because of the way they cut the drywall. So what happens is there's a door right here. Well, what's above the door? Well, there's wall continuing. Well, where's the weight of that wall going to go? We want that weight of the wall to come to this side and this side, not directly on the door. So we put a beam over there just above the door, and we call that a lintel. Now, if it's a concrete sort of a wall, CMU wall, we'll have a concrete lintel because obviously it's going to be heavy. If it's wood framing or metal framing, we may have a wood header over there, right? Essentially serves the same purpose, is distribute the weight of the wall above away from the door frame, right? And then put it back on here. That's the purpose of a lintel. So don't worry about the lintels. Just go ahead and do all that I've just shown you. Now, what if there's a metal cap on it? Well, don't worry about it. We know, I'll show you some other time how to do it, but for now we want to finish the assignment between, the assignment's due on Monday at 1 o'clock, right? So we want to try to finish it by Monday at 1 o'clock based on everything that I've shown you. And then if we have time, we'll get back to that metal cap and lintels and all those details. All right, so it's about 1:30 right now. Let's work on it till about 2:30, and then I will show you how to customize your own curtain wall if you are interested. Yep.
So with that, that's doing interior walls, or we just doing exterior?
Interior and exterior walls. Again, actually, let me show you one thing. If anybody's interested, you could do this. Again, my drawing is not the same as your drawing. Actually, keep going. Keep working. I'll show you in a few minutes.
Going to go out.
What?
Where are you going to go from in and out?
So this icon right here is the 3D view. Okay. And as long as there's a 3D view open over here, you can go back and forth. If it's closed, just hit that again and the 3D view will come back up.
We're gonna wall this way. How do we see our wall again? The exterior wall, we're just trying to draw those.
How do you see it?
Yeah, I can still,
are you in the? If you're in the architectural floor plan.
I didn't finish drawing my wall yet.
Okay, well, you haven't.
Yeah.
Wait, once you draw it, you'll see it.
Yeah, I don't, that's what I don't know how I'm doing.
So like what? Architectural not. Okay.
So why isn't this a structural wall? Is that fair?
Well, for now, we're not worried about, the only difference with a structural wall, it actually is a structural wall. But it doesn't matter because it's the same, what is inside the wall is the same thing, whether we call it a structural wall or not. And the reason it's a structural wall, the reason I'm not calling it structural walls is because structural walls tend not to show up in architecture. That's why I'm calling it architectural wall. And then got this click somewhere and then draw. Click. It's your wall. That's where you want it.
So I.
We got to click again. All right, double C. Yeah.
So on the plan up here, the wall doesn't start directly off of.
Yeah, but it tells you how far apart that it is. It's one of the neatest things.
It tells us how far this thing.
Yeah,
is off.
yeah. Well, it tells you the distance between 1 and 2. And then it's telling you the distance from that edge of the walls. So it's telling you the center line from the edge of this wall to the center line of that wall, or to the edge, zoom in. Yeah, to the edge of that wall is 39.5. So.
Yeah, but it's not here.
Yeah. You know, you don't need to make. So.
Well, how do you know how vertical we don't have the.
You have dimensions, what I'm saying, start with this wall first. And then the dimension for this wall is based on the dimension from the edge of that. Yeah. But is it all?
I mean, that's what I started.
Right, but actually it's not, you need to have your grid lines on the other side as well, so that it's part of that grid.
Generic and then change it.
So go ahead. Grid lines in the office. Is it like? Delete that part.
A curtain wall is one.
I'll be right there, give me just a second.
Well,
Where is the sections? I was telling you where.
I did, are you talking about the excavation? Well, I do so. No, you're not there. So I did the grid lines yesterday, but they're not on my wrong out.
Well, you did the grid lines in one direction, you didn't do the grid lines on the other direction. Zoom out the grid lines in both directions in your drawing. They're not there. I don't know. Look in the elevation view, see if you have.
It's fine. Those have a sit there. Being thicker, so they're being. So I have to do this view, so how do I join the other?
Give me just a second. You actually don't. Because that's the floor plan. That's the. Give me just a second. Let me come take a look at it. Don't look at the sheets I look in there, this is not even a view, this is, if you wanna print something, that's where you. So go back up. First, east elevation, and the north elevation. That's the north elevation, you have east elevation, okay? The east elevation, we have 1, 2, 3, that show up right here, that's what I'm gonna, so you said, don't have. Notice how these are numeric. Grid lines.
No idea.
So you don't have those, so then put them in. Because you put them in, it's in this stream. If you put them in, is these.
I do.
Okay, you gotta pick the bottom ones too. So select grid line. Select two, and say, okay, that's one.
Yeah, so
So you click on it and say, let's change that to 1. And then do your 2.1. and so. You're doing grid lines when you change this, that's the grid line, so because there's, select this. Change that.
Covered all of it. Doesn't matter.
So select that guy.
I've already found my. I'm going to
Okay, change this. Select this guy.
Oh, the 8.
And I'll select this guy. Change that to negative.
And my goal. I'll
How do I know
Yeah.
Don't worry about the foundation, just do the walls. Walls, and then yeah, it's just the same wall. That's it. And does it say how wide this is? Typical 12 inch. Yeah, select it, and if you want it to be the same wall type, just make it the same wall type, change the wall type. Yeah, so edit the wall type, indicate it, and then make it whatever you want.
Where's the rest of them? Like, if I.
It's already. Oh, you mean, yeah, okay. So, go to manage, modify, split, and then select. This
Oh.
Join it again. Have all the grid lines set up.
Position in that.
So I. Let me show you how, let me show everybody how to do it. All right, guys, so if you have. the question I have in front of me is, how do I show my dimensions? If you want to show dimensions, here's how you do it. Click on annotate, aligned, and then click line, click all the lines. And click over there and notice how my annotations are showing up. Now that I can barely read that, how can I make it bigger? Well, let's select that. Select that, edit type, duplicate, large font, and dimension. And then just change the font size. Somewhere in here, there should be a font size. So right now, the font size is 3/32 of an inch. Let's make that a 1/4 inch. Apply.
Annotate a line and where?
Do the same. Oh, yeah.
Or 1/2 inch. So again, aligned, click line, click line, click line, click line, and then you could go as far out as you want and then make it like so. And then I didn't select all of them, but you get the idea.
Supposed to stay highlighted?
No. Well, the lines will stay highlighted. So again, aligned. So click line, and then go as far out as you want, and then click again, and now it will put it there.
Yeah, that's what happens. What is it? How do you know? How do you think of that? Oh. So we don't worry about. Obviously, right? That's something good, especially that in our and like you that's. Useful, yeah. Well, do sound good. The first thing yeah. You make all the wall you and.
If you want to place a window or a door, you have to.
You good this year?
No, see you guys. Yeah. Okay, edit, you did something, edit tonight.
Well, just to make the font bigger. Yeah, duplicate and then change the text size. Yeah, just click on it and then there should be a checkbox next to it. No, there should be, click on it first. And then if you zoom in, there should be a checkbox, little box next to it. Well, you haven't selected it yet. Double escape first and then select.
Mine is so. I started.
Oh, right.
I don't care. I just started.
If you want to change my choice.
Over here, you did. Say, we are using more. Right. Well, this. Other than the visit, well, we should already have to all the way out. That's got to stay. This is good. All the way
All right, guys, so here's my architectural drawing. Here's trying to find that drawing that we've been using. All right. If I want this drawing, all right, everybody, stop what you're doing and watch me. If I want this drawing as a background in this, wouldn't that be useful? That way we could just trace over it. So here's how you might do that. Go to Insert, Import PDF. And it says, what PDF? I'm going to select that PDF. And now there's a billion drawings in there. Which one do you want me to bring in? So go find which one that is. So that is 25 of 71. So go back to Revit. I want drawing number 25. And I want it to be 300 DPI. 300 DPI. And say, okay. And it says, where do you want to put it? Just put it somewhere over there. Well, that's the problem is it's not to scale. So how about we scale this drawing? Okay. How do you scale a drawing? Well, they've given us the distance between these two lines. It is not going to be accurate. That's the one thing you got to remember is if you do this, it is not going to be accurate. What do you mean it's not going to be accurate? Well, where's the middle of this line? Where's the middle of that line? Is it here, 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 right? So the reason is this is not a vector image. This is not a CAD drawing. What this is a PDF file, what we call as a raster image. But we could still work with it. And here's how. So first, let's scale this. So select the drawing. This is again a two-step process. Select the drawing. And now they've given us the distance between this line and this line as 39, 2.5. Now, if I were to click the measure tool and say, hey, what's the distance between that point and this point? It says 12 feet, 11 to 32nd something, right? Well, that's not good enough. We want it to be more accurate. All right, so escape. Well, first of all, it's not even anywhere near accurate. So let's now scale this drawing. Select the drawing first. Now there should be that icon right there for scaling. That's the icon for scale. Click on that. Now click on the drawing again. Oh, sorry. Scale, click on the point. Okay, now go all the way to the other side where it says 39, 2.5. Make sure that we are, so that's about as good as I can visually eyeball it. So I'm going to click on that and type in 39 space 2 space half and hit enter. And now the drawing will get rescaled. So now what I could do is I could align my grid lines in the drawing, so again, I'm going to align the grid line in the drawing using just my arrow keys, right? So if I zoom in, first I'm going to align my A and A. So that's close enough. It's not super tight, but close enough. Okay, that's better. So the A and A are matched up. Now let's go match 4 and 4. So go the other way. And that's close enough.
How do you lock it in place?
That's a great question. Let me first get it to as close as I can. So now notice my A and my 4 are locked in. If two grid lines, one horizontal, one vertical, are locked in, guess what? They're all locked in. But notice the one thing before I go further. Notice this A and the A in the drawing are pretty tight. Can you see that? But look at the other side. Look at the G and the G. They're not tight at all. That's because what we used is not a vector image. It's a PDF file. So when I said it's not going to be accurate, that's why it's a raster image as opposed to being an actual drawing. So let me try to scale it again. I'm going to click on this, scale again, and notice the grid line G, or this line to this line. Well, actually that 144.8, that's a pretty big distance. So let's see if we can use that to scale it. Where does that 144 start? Well, let me escape first. Let me check to see. First of all, let's pin it down. So select it. Notice that pin icon. When you pin it down, you can't accidentally move it. So let me see where the 144.8 starts. So it looks like it starts at this line and then goes all the way across to 144.8. So I'm going to select this. You got to unpin it before you can scale it. So select that. Scale. 144.8 goes from this point in the drawing, okay? And then go the other way up to grid line B. Notice I've not clicked again. I'm still in that edit mode. And then I'm going to scroll, come down here. And then as close as I can get to the middle of that, and then type in 144.8. Now it's resized. So let me see if I can fix that now. Let's select it and match the A's. Eyeball it. Let's match, let's see, 3. Yeah, that's close enough. But it would still be slightly off on the other side. So it is not super tight, but it's a little bit closer. But once I have it set, now what I could do is pin it down. I aligned the grid line on the horizontal axis, one on the y-axis, vertical axis. And once I've pinned it down, now it's just a matter of drawing. Now, you can always hide this. Well, that's a little too much. I want to hide it. Select it. Notice the eyeglasses at the bottom. Select temporarily hide, isolate. So just hide element, and it will give you this blue border, and then you can still work in it. If you want to unhide it, click on the glasses, reset, and your picture is back. So now if I want to trace this wall, as long as I have the wall, right? Let's select that exterior wall. Didn't I make a wall type W1? Maybe I didn't save it. Well, anyway, if I say generic 8-inch masonry wall, now I could say finish face exterior, and then draw your wall over there, like so. Right? I personally find that bringing in walls is not particularly helpful. For HVAC, yes. For walls, not really. But if you are interested in drawing something using that, you could do so. Don't worry about the doors and windows just yet. We'll do that next. Just draw the walls, that's all.
They're here. But now, you want me to make them like. Yeah.
What, you can, this on that icon. On the walls, right?
How again?
Just that. So you have multiple windows open within the program. Think of it as different tabs on Excel spreadsheet.
So boxing the doors for now, right?
Yeah, we're boxing in the doors. So what happens is when you put a door in, it'll put the opening for you. You don't have to do it.
But didn't you want to have like,
Yeah.
like, can you draw?
Yeah, I do want the wall type correctly,
How do you do that?
edit type, select the wall.
Do I have to go in and do every individual one?
Yes. Well, not every individual. You do one, and let's say if that wall type is repeated in the building, you just change the wall type to that.
But how do you know like this one?
Well, if you look at the drawings, it'll tell you which one is which. So if you zoom in, this one is not this strong. It's not in here, in your PDF. Or your PDF. Think about those. So if you open your wall type thing, different wall types, it will have different types of things. Okay. Thank you. So, that wall. Now, when you have walls in the corridor, those walls tend to go all the way to the ceiling. Whereas, if you have interior walls, like that wall right there goes all the way to the ceiling. But this wall stops right above the ceiling. Why do you think that is? It may not actually, this one too. This one may go all the way to the ceiling because, that room is also a classroom, so we don't want sound to go back and forth. But office spaces, for instance, on the opposite side, the wall doesn't go above ceiling. Now that wall will go all the way to the ceiling. The reason it goes all the way to the ceiling is fire safety, right? We want to isolate. Anytime that there's a fire, we want to isolate areas so that we give people enough time to get out of the building. Where's your hand from? What did I come? That says, oh, they're going out to the side, so you look that way. So, then you choose to. That is. What's that? It's a more of a hassle, and it really does well. I would recommend walls. How walls? You just go to, you still go to community. Okay. Where you said. What's that? Yeah. Right. It has changed. When you select the wall. You select the wall. They're all on the other side. It's baseball. You select the wall out the wall. I'll give you.
I mean, I accomplished that. That was a feat. Let's see the space.
Pretty sure. Probably like
And then first rename it. Then.
And they'll change that. That's what I don't know. Yeah, that's an exterior wall, but that's the last.
Are we supposed to do that?
Well, yeah, but we'll do that. Just use generic glass wall. Then we'll change it around.
Right, I thought we were all- Wrong. The exterior.
Right, where we from?
So we're all- we're all- We're supposed to know how to do that.
I did it one wall. Well, you now you have your wall back.
Yeah.
Change the thing over there.
So I say, well, like this one says FM1, you go to FM1 on this sheet,
The exterior,
it'll tell you, where.
or just so it actually changes to this not defined. One of very problem. Not. Why are you
So I have to somehow. It tells you underneath the wall section, what you think the symbol, like what its assembly is.
This is not. There you go.
Yeah, you could have got it off.
All right, guys, so I have this wall that goes a certain distance beyond A. Everybody see that in your drawings? See this exterior wall? So this is your grid line A, and it goes certain distance beyond the exterior wall. One thing you could do is to just scale it off in Bluebeam. Select scale, select what's the scale of this drawing? 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, right? So in here, I'm going to say the scale is preset and it is 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. Now, if I want to measure a distance, I could say, okay, what's the distance from there to there? And it says 8.5 inches. That's all we need to know. So now, if I want in Revit, if I want a wall that is 8.5 inches past A, here's what I would do. I would create something called as a reference plane. Notice this reference plane right here. And you could just draw it somewhere to the left of A, except I want it 8.5 inches. So select 0 space 8 space half. So now that wall is 8.5 inches from A. Now, if I want to draw a wall, change that to not defined. And then I have this wall that's coming all the way from here to there. And then the rest I can do, once I've done that, now I can select that grid line, that reference plane, and delete it.
So what do we do after we draw the wall?
Well, draw all the exterior walls, and then edit the wall type to make sure it's the right type.
What do you mean edit the wall?
Well, you remember how we just put CMU, block, insulation, all that?
It'll switch.
It's just CMU block wall. That's all it is. Yeah, typically it's here, CMU block wall. So go back to your drawing. where it's, we also. I'm not enjoying it. You really see that, that is all the pictures. Okay.
And then how do we?
Duplicate. Call it.
I just did all that.
No, that's just that's the last. In fact, you will see it. Over here. That's the. This is CW. This one says CW2. This one says CW. All the walls, CW1, 2, and 3 are shown. Yeah, I did it. I think I did one of the exterior walls.
I mean, I don't know, like, you know, truly don't know.
I think that one. What it is, three, you have three.
Yes, so it's, so SL is.
Yeah, no, like, I'm like miles behind every. Huh? Well, I always have to go to the chief I want later and I do that, because that's the way we're living on the right place. I was told there was something.
For section two, actual section. My guess is. This guy right here. Go with what says here, that's one. Yeah, but make sure that there's not a structure, not sticking to the wall. Drop down box. Where it says wall. Looks like that one that you just. You didn't save it.
Yeah.
We're not the same.
Yeah.
Duplicates.
So.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. And it
Yeah.
Again, it's not wait for me, last wall, wait for me.
Do the interior wall, maybe time.
Got a question?
Second one.
So that's. Yeah, you have to pair.
I know, like, we're talking about whole week. But how would we draw? I think that's stupid. When you like.
Yeah, I would say yes, but then.
Real close.
What's that?
Yeah. And here, it's like three.
Along with this, some other sign you can write down. If you want to.
Measure out.
What I'm saying, like.
That one is 12.
I figure out what we were doing. I thought the first.
Was 12
So I have all the balls, but I'm not really sure how to do this one. You're gonna have to make it so small.
Okay.
I was like, oh, it's really
Okay.
Okay. And then, so that would be partition.
No, that's not a partition, that's, or like, if you look on the page before, that's curtain wall. That's not a partition wall, that's a curtain wall. We did not even know that,
My favorite thing to do there is when you're trying to set your. Well, yeah, I said those. Well, I don't have to. Yeah.
Or is it SCW?
Also, your. And that was, that's the store, that's storefront windows. And then, so how do I, so I didn't edit the title.
And I've decided I'll change it to. But I'm gonna show everything. Worry about the interior, make sure that it's right. No, I'm not worried about it.
So just worry about the height.
Yeah. Regular start, regular start.
Would that be the unconnected height? Is it gonna be the unconnected height?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it, but like, it's just easier to have.
You wanna know what's the bottom, what's the top? No, all your dimensions are correct,
So based on.
there's no need to adjust it.
So based on that.
Don't overlay, overlaying is useless, why can you just use that one? No, just draw it, just look over there and draw it. You don't have to, that's what I said, is you can if you want to, and I said it doesn't really work well with. It works better when we get to the HVAC.
Yeah.
So, yeah, giving you dimensions, right?
And so,
A line, so click,
put on wall. Where's the right way? Where it bit dot, where it outside. Then it
I'm telling you, Charlie.
Yeah. Same way as when we. So we were having all that section. Be there.
Goes through all the distance. Well, A to B, it says 83, that's not right.
And now that's just the head now, as opposed to 36.
So now we're going on this.
Nice, that little goes on. Well, it's gonna go to school.
Like this long. I'm still on
But as soon as get these guys
It says 83. So that means 36. 9 3/4, 36.6. 3/4.
It's still on there, this.
And that's A is not there. Let's select A. House. That.
I was just gonna think about it, I was like, I don't. That would be
No, hold on.
Well. Is that what each material is? You're only doing essay. Yeah. Where you going? Yeah, what are you trying to go top here? I can't decide. I have like, I don't know what. I've got a question. PCA is made, it's in the wall. I got it, even though you can't set it yet. 10 hours. Yeah. That's here.
Well, that's not what we're. The reason why that is not. I know that realize that here.
I feel like I have.
I don't have to do that.
My God, it's. Yeah.
But if we don't have just our phone line. Now, select that up. You can change that. Voice is this child. Yeah. Okay, if that's your one. Okay, we're gonna have to call it.
We could be just running a business right now, if we just do this.
I promise you, go home, watch like an hour-long YouTube Reddit tutorial, and it will change like just like everything.
Just do it by each.
It's also part of this is like doing it. So. And when I first, my record levels when I first started.
You select this one, and change, this is.
Go to the pressure.
Now I'm like, now like.
Working on projects, that's due, so that's important, while you're having to work. What's for?
Now I select this line. Somebody had not known to live back.
My entire creative life, I had no
Yeah.
architect could design, draw anything like. I know it to the trades. I know it, I know what we do. Yeah.
Now select this guy.
See, points.
That's what we know. You can only, when you select the line, also change the number on the wall.
You know, structural?
Architectural. Anything that's. Anything that's like a fire rate or wall assembly, it's gonna be under architectural, not structural.
So basically.
Architects are in charge, make sure nobody burns down.
Draw of this whole plan.
We have to make sure,
Only the walls,
where does it tell you that?
not all of them,
Just
just the wall.
interior, exterior windows, all.
Well, the doors and windows will, I'll show you how to add it. I don't think that's part of the assignment. Is that part of the assignment?
Yeah.
Doors and windows.
All curtain wall doors and windows, okay, yeah. All curtain walls, doors and windows, yeah. Well, you know, if you wanna add a door, right?
Oh, well, please don't show me now, I'm overloaded, I don't even know how to do creative work.
Well, it's select the door and hit the wall, that's, again, you're not gonna break the program, just try something, see what happens.
Yeah, but I can't do that. Just now.
I think we're just better from. All of you, that's why I'm happy to do that. Won't control. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, so if you. It'll tell you kind of like text here, but if you have like a stud, seam for the wall, that's what I have to just tell you. If kind of like read the wall, what that is, it's an interior. This should be an interior one.
She's saying if you get all that. Yeah. Yeah, then you want to put it in, you have to go back and change those out. That's like figure out.
You got to make a new wall now.
Select all the boards.
Edit, duplicate, and then now you guys can get it to a single house. Now he's like, Is that what you're not doing? Bring it to your wall.
All your walls.
Back here. Find the import somewhere out there.
You guys are not just.
Where's
That's something back in the system.
Yeah, what just happened?
What are you trying to?
What was the cut from it? I believe that was,
Four or five, eight.
like, it's like you had something.
Three and
Everything.
Three, 5, 8. If I leave 3, 5, 8. I'm going with.
So you're trying to make all the.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Exam is 3, 5, 8. 3, 5, 8.
Probably.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
All.
That'd probably be easier to do it all.
You always measure.
It's still hard.
Sorry about that.
What was the?
That's impulsive. We make love.
It's take a long way.
Hey, John, I like the.
Take a long way. Like when someone is told to take a long way, that's all.
Good job.
I'm like,
I still think it's really. This something like.
Stop. Let's go to my lines.
Mentally.
Is that not one of them? Checking again. I'll take out, take a slide, bro.
So should I delete these things?
No, well, wait. Okay, so well, yeah, you make do the hit.
Yes, sir, you will, it is good, I named that data.
Let's just tell you it's 6 years.
If it doesn't return, you get rid of it.
But now you're on the entry also.
So I deleted all those.
Yeah, I just said inside to really funny. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that now. But they changed that for Maple, right?
You just have one of them all.
No, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, so if you change the numbers, so let's see.
I'm pretty sure. Like, is it like?
No.
They're all quiet.
Now, you know, right. You see the new stuff.
Why did they just select all?
I figured that out, but it's just like all the global out.
All the way to
That's trash.
bottom line.
So you just need one good line. That's the sections. I'm glad.
Then it's changed on that time.
Don't do the normal people.
All they report.
Also stay, also.
But you get same space. Yeah.
Face the word.
There's all kinds of good stuff, like, scanner, is there stuff that you want? There's like, there's stuff, you know, like a scanner thing.
Now, it's there to our solution.
Same way as all this, No, I've been working on it. You should already know for all. There's like. Yeah, we're not very select here. I made it the same as this, and then like I took this section. Three, and then I made 4 of the pictures. So the picture was down. Yeah, and then I just did it, so I didn't roll do that at all.
They're in the wrong place, you don't want to do that.
You didn't. That's
All right. Everybody ready for some? Review? Exterior walls that are curtain walls. Yeah. What's a curtain wall? Glass wall. It's a glass wall. Is that a curtain wall? No. It's a curtain wall window. It's actually not a window either, right? Who made it? The same guys that made the exterior for the Gorey Center. When you walk in, that glass panels, walls, is the same people that made it. You have the same mullion, the same everything. So basically what it is instead of having doors, they just made windows on it. Right? Now, when you have massive windows like that, most of the time that's a curtain wall manufacturer that will do that. If you have smaller windows that are punch windows, you get it from a window manufacturer and then put them in place. But those are curtain wall windows. So I'm gonna show you how to do curtain walls, and it's the same idea as a window. So what I want you to do is save your file, close it. Because you're not gonna remember unless you follow along with me. Save your file, close it, and then let's start a brand new file. And I'll show you how to do curtain walls.
I'm gonna predict it's gonna be Scotty.
Yeah, he'll be top 3.
I think he's motivated by first chance to complete the career Grand Slam. And then Tiger did it in his first time.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That was probably the most nervous I've ever been.
All right, file, new. Multidiscipline. Everybody please be here. Okay, I'm gonna leave all these lines alone for now. Now, in your drawings, if I go to these drawings, specifically this drawing, so this is A1.01. Notice what it says over here. It says CW1. Stands for what? Curtain wall 1. If I come in here, it says CW2. Stands for curtain wall 2. If I come here, CW3 stands for curtain wall 3. Well, where are they? Well, if you go back to your drawings, go to A6.22. Well, guess what? They have all the details for CW1. Right? CW1 is 39 feet long. Okay, I'm going to draw CW1 just the way it's shown. Okay, that's 39 feet long. Okay, and then it is 14 feet tall. So I'm going to come in here, Revit. I'm going to draw a wall, and I'm going to change that to not defined. Okay, I'm going to select somewhere over there, and then it says 39 feet. Type in 39, hit enter. There's my wall. Okay, select that wall. Let's make sure that it's not unconnected, or unconnected height is 14 feet, because that's what it said, apply. Now what I'm going to do, so notice I have my CW1. Now I'm going to do a section. What is a section? So I'm going to click on section. I'm going to go from there to there. What that shows me is everything inside that box. I can right click on that and say, go to view, and here's my wall. That's my, go find and shade it. That's my wall. And then the drawing said, hey, at 2'11" from the top, I want a band. Okay, let's do that. Go back to Revit, and then I'm going to come in here and say curtain grid, and then I'm going to hover on this side. Said, well, that put it at 2. Well, let me undo that. I put it at 2 feet. And if I zoom in, notice how I can go in 1-inch increments, 2'11". Okay, that's where I want my band. Okay, there's one. Right? And then they wanted how many empty equal spaces? So my Bluebeam said, hey, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 empty spaces. What is 39 feet divided by 8? What do we get? So 39 feet divided by 8, that'd be 6. And how much? Four feet, 10.5 inches. 4 feet, 10.5 inches. Okay. Let's go to Revit. Now let's go curtain grid. And then I'm going to place one somewhere. It's not at the right place. And then I'm going to type it in. 4 space 10 space half. Does that make sense? I'm going to click on that guy. You know where I'm going with this. Array. Click again. And then type in 4 space 10 space half inch. And then how many copies do I want? I want a total of, say, 7. Let's see if that's right. Yep, that's right. Let's select these guys. And then shift to well, I need to select just the grid lines. So I'm going to hold my control key and just select all the grid lines, right? Ungroup. So now I've ungrouped them. However, if you look at the drawing, it says, hey, this middle one, there is a grid line right here at 8'2". So I want to put in that grid line. Everybody able to keep up with me? Anybody trying to keep up with me? Again, this is the drawing. It said curtain wall 1 is 39 feet long. Right? So I drew a curtain wall. In architecture, I drew just a wall. Again, you can move it to the side. Okay. And then I drew a wall that is 39 feet long. What kind of wall? I selected in the wall types. Notice there is a curtain wall that says not defined. It's going to give you one big pane of glass. And then I went in and selected curtain grid, put one in at 2'11" because that's what they wanted us. And then there's another curtain grid at 8'2", except it's not question. Right. So in my drawing, I said create a section. Notice there is a section symbol. And I said from here to here. Now, if it's not looking the right way, push that arrow key to look the correct way so that you're looking at it. And then when the section is selected, the glass, only that glass wall is inside of that. And then I can right click on that and say go to view. Or I can scroll down here and there should be something called as sections. Somewhere in here, there should be something called sections. And there's the sections, and that's section 1. And double click, and there's my section 1. Let me redo this again. All right, this time try and keep up with me, right? So I'm going to draw a wall, curtain wall, not defined. I want to make it 39 feet. Somewhere in that section, go type in 39, it'll put it in for 39 feet. The double escape, we have our wall, and our wall is inside the section. So when I go to that section 1, I select the wall. Right now it's 20 feet tall. Well, I want it to be only 14 feet tall. Type in 14 in unconnected height, and now it's only 14 feet tall. Well, I want to see the wall, so go to fine and shaded so you could see that wall or consistent colors. Right, there's my wall. Everybody here? Question? Right, that one right there.
After that.
So when you could select the section in here, right click on it, go to view. Everybody good so far? When you right click the section. You could go back and watch the video, or you could watch me do it. But either way, this is the procedure, right? So curtain grid, and then I'm going to go zoom in, and I want it at 2'11". And I'm hovering over that 2'11". There's my 2'11". That's a grid. Okay. Then I'm going to add grids on the opposite side. Curtain grid. Yep. Again, select curtain grid, hover over the edge. So let's say I want one at 8'2". Right? I do want one at 8'2". I want to put one in there. I'll come back to it later. Because why do I want it at 8'2"? Well, look at my PDF. It says there's a door, there's an opening there that's 9 feet wide and 8'2" tall. So in order to put that in, I put it in as 8'2". Okay, now let's make the panels. I'm going to put curtain grid again. And this time I'm going to hover over this side, and then I'm going to type in, well, I'm going to put it in at some point. And then I already calculated that there should be 8 of them, 8 panels, and each one is going to be 4 foot, 10.5. 4 foot, space 10, space high. Okay, now I'm going to array this guy. Okay, select it, array, click on it, go 4, 10, space half again. How many do I want? I want 8. Okay. Now delete that last one. So, okay. I think I wanted 7. What was it?
How do you get the copy thing to come up? Like when I did it, I didn't have an option to see how many.
I didn't copy. I did an array. So click on the grid element. Click on array. Now it will show up with this little dashed line around it. Click once on the line and go this way and type in 4 space 10 space half. When you hit enter, notice it says how many copies do you want over there at the top. I'm going to change that to 7 and hit enter. And now I have all these. Now I'm going to select these, the ones that I just created, and say ungroup these. Ungroup. So now they're not part of any group. Right? And also, I do not want, look at this. There's no grid element right here. You see that? Where my mouse is, there's no grid element. Well, how do I remove that grid element? Well, going back to Revit, I'm going to say add remove segments and then click on that side and notice now that grid element is gone. Do the same thing for all of these grid elements because we don't need that at 8'2". So select that grid element, add remove segments. I'm going to click on all of these. And now, by the way, that is level 2. So let me just move my level 2 out of the way. Question?
The distance in between the 7. For me, it just gave me the 7. So I was wondering how I could go in and.
So when you create one, the first one, make it 4 foot 10 and a half. Now I calculated it. I went to Google and said, hey, what is 39 feet divided by 8? It told me 4 feet 10 and a half inches. Right? That's what I used to put my first one. And then I put it in at 4 feet and then selected it and typed it in as 4 foot 10 and a half. And then I put them in. Now, each of these has a thick mullion all the way around. Right? All the way around, there's a thick mullion and a very thin mullion in the middle of these. What's a mullion? Mullion is that metal strip that you see between glass panels. So let's go. I don't know the mullion size. I'll just pick one and then go with it. So I'm going to go back to architecture, select mullion. So pick the biggest one. So let's say 2.5 by 5. And I'm going to select delete that mullion, delete that mullion, delete that guy, delete that guy. And then mullion again. The outside, do we have one at the bottom too? Yeah, we do. Except this guy. So does my curtain wall, and then the thin one, if you want to put a thin mullion, so select mullion, let's say 1 inch square, and then I'm just going to select these. And there we have it. We have all the mullions. Well, that one also has to be a thick one. So go back to mullion and then select it to be 2.5 by 5. And we'll select that guy. That makes sense? So let me look at 3D view, see what my curtain wall looks like now. So that's what my curtain wall looks like, which is what they have shown me, right? There is a band at 2 foot 11. The bottom is 11 foot 1. Total is 14 feet. And then this is equidistant. EQ stands for equal, right? And then I put it in at 8 foot 2. There is these mullions. And then I created it just like I've seen it in their pictures. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So all curtain walls, here's how you do think about it. First, draw a wall, make it that the wall type is curtain wall not defined. That what that gives you is a big pane of glass. Make it however long you want it, however tall you want it, just like any other wall. How you make a wall long and tall, do that. Then you add the mullions. Well, first you add the curtain grid elements, and mullions can only be attached to curtain grid elements. Does that make sense?
Then you add the curtain rate elements.
Yeah, notice I created a section and then within the section view, I created each one of these lines.
So I said the array because it's not letting me choose the distance, it's only letting me choose how many.
Right, so just click on one and then type in 4 foot 10 letter, 4 space 10. That space 1.5.
Yeah, right.
There. Now how many copies you want? 7. There you go. Now select all the grid elements. No, not that way. One at a time. Because otherwise you select the last 2. And other group names. Okay. Now you can eliminate the ones. So for instance, see this one is at 8 foot 2, but I don't want all of these. I just want these 2. Right? Add remove segments. Also, I remove that guy. Add remove segments. Right? So now it's starting to look.
Yes, and then, so then next was the.
Yeah, actually, the 2.5 by 5 for the outside ones. Except not this guy. Right, and then this have us put one over there. One over here, one over here, one over here. Okay, except these, we want the small.
And you just deleted those and went back?
Yeah, you selected them. And now I select mullion again, then this time I'm gonna select 1 each square. Right? And then the order those are for those. Well, they're not windows, they're just attached, it's closed, the whole thing is closed, just for that one thing.
Thank you.
When it's very rare that you have a curtain wall window that's operable. You don't want a curtain wall window that's operable, it's most of the time just closed.
Yeah, that's for that.
Okay.
Select. Yeah. And you show all. Except all one. You scroll down. You don't have to imagine,
Just be, yeah, somewhere over here, okay, yeah. The other way.
It's like how.
All the way across, not all the way, like just up to there, yeah. Yeah, do not go to that view, right, say, fine. Go to view, okay. There it is.
Second thing, so this is 39.
Right.
All of it. But that doesn't. This is 36.
Right.
3/4.
I don't think I have full weight for it. Like it hasn't wall. So do the plan.
That we take that.
Well.
I mean, instead of thicker than actual stud.
From this line.
Have to do not here. Reference.
So I'm gonna measure this. If I select measure. And I say my preset scale is an eighth of an inch. Right? And I say measure.
Instead, or it's 4 inches off the wall.
You can do it with a. You get it?
Is that the wall?
Yes.
You got it. So now let's say. Right?
And I would.
I gotta figure it out. Yeah, but that's not. Oh, so to get to one more is to say, hey, this distance from here to here is 30 minutes. That's what they're saying, right?
I'll see you all the way across first.
Right. Like this on.
1980.
Right now. I want that distance.
I'll take it away. I do it. I'll slip on there.
You just measure it against.
Alright.
Now, if I were to measure this distance from here to here, so I get. Oh, I get 39. So that draw. 39 feet. You don't need to pay. Don't even worry. It's crazy.
You break
And so.
Again, you need to be changed. This should all fight. This will have now let's make sure that it's. Okay. Now. That the wall is. And I was saying, here's your section. Hey, I'm gonna move this out of the way. This. This.
I did that.
Now, go back and select curtain grid. And then cover over that side. Don't click it yet. When you hover, notice it gives you a distance. I want it close to a centimeter. Type in 4 space. And. Well, okay, let's put it in. And then click on there. I think the distance. 4 space 10. Right, and then do an array of 7 of them. And then click on that. On array. Click on. And hopefully
Oh, we actually.
How many do you want? Seven.
Yeah. And then you have to add their yearly bonus.
Now,
I think select all of those. It was the same. Select all these grid lines that I've just created. It'll be another. Shoot out the second. And I'm moving those. And I want another grid line going this way. Over there. And I wanted that. I wanted that two foot less work in the time. Also, I don't want this guy. Right? Yeah, and then, but the opening is at 8:02. So select curtain grid and let it know.
Yeah, so. I'm up.
Wait,
I don't want it for all of them, I just want it for this one little piece. I'm gonna select that grid line. Add a little segment.
not pretty
I just want these two. It looks like that. Also, I don't want this guy. And now grid elements on it. The mullions. You select the grid lines and.
hey, announcement, folks. No more quizzes. Don't work on the assignment tomorrow. About the expo tomorrow, everybody, please go to the expo in the morning, right? If you have an interview, you can miss class. Miss Angie told me that she's gonna tell me who is gonna interview because she has the list. If you don't have an interview, be in class. Also, I don't know how many of you have gone to a building science career fair. Do not show up in your shorts. This is a career fair. Okay, you only get one chance to make a first impression. So here's what I would recommend that you do. Dress professionally, at the very least, semi-casual. Too hot to wear a suit, but nothing wrong with the, I can't tell the girls, but the boys, a button-down shirt and pants, and no athletic shoes. Go there, shake as many hands as you can, ask more questions, then talk to them about what kind of company they are, how big they are, how old they are. I mean, you know, not everybody's a bachelor and more than that, right? Also take your resume, give your resume. A little career advice for all of you, since you guys are here for the first time in construction. You can build a hospital, or you can build 3 hospitals and go back to building homes. You can't be a home builder for 10 years and go and build hospitals. Okay? So keep that in mind as far as, you know, how do you see your career playing out? If you want to be your own home builder, getting right out of school, then fine. If that's what you want to do, go work for a home builder. You learn a lot more doing that. But if you think you want to be in commercial, you want to be in the, you know, there's advantages and disadvantages to everything. Being your own business owner is very attractive, but there's also a lot of risk that comes with that. When the economy is not good, you're on your own. In 2008, during the financial crisis, Braswell and Worry fired exactly 0 people. They put people on the bench for 2 years because they knew people are their company. Without people, there's no company, right? And in fact, they came to Auburn and recruited people, even though they didn't have any place to put them, because they just didn't want to miss out on every generation of students, right? So it's a trade-off. You got to think about all of that. But regardless of what you're doing, you're not going to start a business right out of school. Let's be real, right? And you don't know enough to start a business. So most likely you have to go to work for somebody. So pick that somebody based on how you see your career playing out. Well, I'm gonna have a few kids later on, and I don't want to travel. Well, guess what? Travel when you're young, right? Don't try to travel 10 years from now when you have a mortgage and 2 kids and a dog, right? It's much harder to do. So think about all those things as you are talking to these companies. Eventually, when you take a job next summer or next fall, whenever you graduate from here, the thing to keep in mind is whoever you're gonna work for, stay with them for 5 years. There is so much learning to do. There is nothing to be gained from, at that stage of your career, nobody's gonna double your salary. Right? People may give you an extra few $1,000 here and there, but it's more important that you go to work for a company that you think is a good fit for you. Stay there for a certain number of years, learn as much as you can, and then it will naturally happen as far as how you progress in your career. If you do well enough, I've had students that graduated from this program have been with Robbins for 30 years, Braswell for 30 years. There's absolutely nothing wrong with, doing something like that, right? But starts tomorrow at the career fair. And there's gonna be one in the fall and spring again next year. By spring next year, how many of you have actually worked in the construction industry? Raise your hand. Okay, if you have never worked in the construction industry, I would recommend do not graduate next summer. Go do an internship next summer. And then come back in the fall and graduate. Right? Because internships are a great way to learn about the industry, not only learn about the industry, it shows to companies that you're interested to learn. Yes, you could get a job graduating in the summer, but you get a better job if you graduate in the fall, having taken an internship. Right, because people recognize that commitment from you. Anyway, I'm happy to chat with you one-on-one if anybody's interested. I've seen 30 years of people graduating from the program. In fact, this is my 30th year. So, if anybody wants to chat with me, I'm happy to talk with you about it.
What was the tool that you use to take these out?
So when you select the grid line, right?
Thank you.
Right, or those. And now I want to put smaller ones here because they're all actually. Here's like. Go back on this. Smaller money. These are all money over there, but they're smaller. That one is square money. And then I'm gonna get the. Well, it doesn't say, it doesn't even say what the mullions are. And basically what happens is the curtain wall manufacturer will produce what we call a stock. All the details will be thought for. Now let's just pick these. Yeah. All right, guys, let me show you all how to do doors now.
So I have two types of walls. This is a curtain wall. I'm also going to draw a regular wall, right? Just let's say a generic, any type of wall, brick on CMU, there's my wall. Now, if I want to put a door in, just select door. I want a double door that is 84 inches wide. If I scroll down, there's my 72 by 84 double door. Select that, and notice it won't let you put it in unless you're on the wall. If you're in the middle of the room, a door can't just go in the middle of a room. It has to be attached to a wall. So click the wall, and that's it. If you look at it in 3D view, it not only creates the opening, it puts the door frame, it does the whole 9 yards. You don't have to do anything else at that point. And if you look at it in plan view, notice it looks like a door. Now, what about a curtain wall? Curtain wall doors are different. Okay? Curtain wall doors are different. First of all, when I select door, I don't even see curtain wall doors. So let's go load those. Now, in order to load those, you have to be logged in. Okay? So go to Insert, Load Autodesk Family. When you go there, these are all the different objects that you could choose from. I'm going to select doors, and I'm going to select curtain wall double glass door. All right, curtain wall double glass door. If you want, you can also select a single glass door, right? Hold your control key and select whichever one you want, right? So insert, load Autodesk family. And you can load any type of wall. All right, now that I've question. Let me get through this first. All right. Now that you've got this, let's go ahead and put in the door in the curtain wall. So here's my curtain wall. I'm going to hover. Hey, look at this. I'm going to hover near the edge of this panel that needs the door, push the tab key until it highlights that panel. Select that panel. Now change it to where it says double glass or door curtain wall double storefront. And it puts in a door for you there. That makes sense? Now, if I want this whole panel to have a single wall door, so select the panel. If I want, well, actually, let me do it over here on the side. Select that panel. If I want a single glass door, select single glass, and there's your door. And the door will fit however big the panel is. So this panel was 8'2", so I was able to put an 8'2" door. Right? So when I look at it in 3D, oh, not that one, this one. So notice a regular door and a curtain wall door. So there's my regular wood door with the hardware, everything. And there's my curtain wall door with whatever hardware. Again, don't worry too much more about that other than knowing how to place a wall in there, a door in the wall.
After you hit load on the Autodesk thing, what, after that, it's giving you like an X.
So again, you have to be logged in. Make sure you're logged in. Then insert, load Autodesk family. Under doors, pick whatever you want. Just say load. Let's say I want this one. I say load. If there are more sizes in there, it will tell you which size do you want. You can select multiple if you like. Hold your control key down, select multiple, and just say okay. Now, where did that go? Again, when you go to doors, you will notice that these are the different doors we brought in. Now, you won't see curtain wall doors because curtain wall doors are different. Like I just showed you, you have to select the panel to change that to a door type. So notice if I want a door right here on that panel, I'm going to hover over the edge of that panel, push the, whoop, don't click it, hover over the edge of that panel, push the tab key until it highlights the panel, select the panel. I didn't select the panel. And I want to do it in section view. That's the best place to do it. So hover.
So that just.
Push the tab key until it allows you to select the panel. Once the panel is selected from this drop down on the left, change it to a single or double, whatever door type. I have covered everything except roofs. We'll cover roofs tomorrow, specifically flat roofs, because that's what this needs. Here's what I need you to do by tomorrow. Look through the drawings. This is what your model should look like at the end of it. So by Monday afternoon, we need this.
The control joint for those wall space.
Split face. What? Your garage door is not loading?
I do know my own computer, but I have like the new version.
Well, I would recommend look at, you want the newer version of Revit? You know, you can't do that. How am I gonna grade it if you give me the new one? Okay, so here's what I would try is I would try Revit City, see if they have anything. If you have it, I'll look at it.
Revit 27 is pretty good.
What?
Revit 27 is pretty good.
Is it? Yeah. Compared to,
Switch.
we're not in 20, we're not going to 27, we're going to 26, unfortunately.
26 is still.
Also, hey guys, notice that there are different wall types on the exterior. The building has got different heights, right? This service portion is shorter than the sales portion. Okay, so if you make sure and look through the drawings, right, the service side is shorter than the sales side. And this is just basically, this is an exterior panel that actually, if you look at it from the top, right, and I change this view to like that wireframe, you'll notice that the exterior wall, this is the curtain wall, and then that exterior panel starts somewhere over there and then goes all the way to the very top. Right? That's what's making it look like this. Change this to shaded. Right? So that panel wall just goes like so, and then there's a generic wall over there. This assignment is gonna be the hardest BIM assignment you're gonna do. You're using this program for the first time, so expect a learning curve, and when we come back in the fall, things will go a little faster. Before we start in the fall, we start, I think, August the 16th or whenever. I would recommend that you touch up on this assignment before you come to class, because we don't want to start from scratch again, right? So redo this assignment before you come to class. We'll pick it up again here. Where?
It was fine, it was just right to be done. I opened it again and just working this fine, actually.
No, not in Taiwan. However, it is very well, just push the jack and we'll just simple. You have signed, if you have loaded it in. Well, you didn't.
Oh, we started. Yeah, we're gonna, that's all.
Right.
You only gonna work the whole class, man, it's pretty loud.
You're gonna still put this, yes. You're gonna be. Sure, yeah. I was wondering where the lots and stuff.
All right.
Also. I heard you. Because there's something that, I just know that it's. But you can get your report.
All right. I thought I was loading in. Yeah.
different.
And you won't see it in door types. You can modify. No, modified the top of the left arrow. Alright, now hover on the center. Hover where the door is supposed to be. Select the panel. Okay, you can drop down box where it says that. There's your goal. That's also great.
I can do a wall version of things for us.
So I.
You're gonna have to.
This would be the exterior, so now I need to work on
You're gonna have to
the
go.
curtains and doors.
Curtain wall door to windows. Now, just like I showed you the door, windows work the same way. You go to insert, you go to this family, or you go
Like this wall in the door
and then.
You have, it's technically two.
There's not a lot of.
You have to have a wall with the door.
What are we doing now?
We're gonna do a quick recap and then we'll talk about what we need to do to be ready for fall.
That's what I, sounds good.
And then if anybody has any more questions about the assignment, also I told people that and redo some stuff, talk about that as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, how did, I guess we'll talk about that one day.
Oh, I need to talk about those guys, what you want to do for rather the structure and architecture.
I don't know. I'm willing to work when,
We're gonna do announcements.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with like getting rid of all that or doing something else.
I was just gonna say.
So.
Just don't-
Learn, what if you learn the CM Builder?
I didn't figure out how to get
From the
ample wall, we stick it through the wall, like, well,
Or do the same assignment as dynamics like you did in last time.
So.
Oh, okay.
What it?
I suppose.
If you guys get together, to do.
Okay.
And then, my recommendation would be to do CM Builder because, it's complicated enough that you learn a few things and then. I won't get into that level of detail. The rest.
Yeah. Hey, thank you.
Someone asked a question.
That's something that's covered on Monday, but don't even worry about it.
You're not, no, I'm just worried about it. I'll talk about it on Mondays to you by 5 minutes.
That's.
It says C plans.
Yeah, just say.
Like last time, been created by the.
Also, online.
Yeah.
There's a bourbon. I might reinstall regular. It's great, but not all this stuff. Yeah.
You guys can look and see the best thing you guys. I'm doing the same assignments that I'm doing. I know my walls.
If I, found something, read it that, I have to do very well. I might look out together like what else? Okay.
But I mean, you can work for.
Okay, so yeah, right now, Like, if I were to graduate tomorrow. Then I'm not gonna go to the North Dakota Spring Lake Park, just to, I mean, graduate. I just didn't want to get away, so I'll put that stuff like.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So line.
I might just do it, I mean, I do that. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Now, the painted blue line.
But you gotta give it something.
Yeah, well, it comes with something.
Doesn't give us.
Yeah, want to learn something out of it, yeah, so not just do it, do it.
I should have put this.
Big pictures, not those. Yeah.
Hit the space.
Well, you want the same view on the other side, your outside sketch, your big here and here.
This one.
We can just.
That's the same view. I do the same thing in the custom area, like all those walls kind of.